Why apocalyptic aesthetics feel so comforting. I have noticed a strange fascination that many of us have with the idea of the world after it ends. It is not the explosions or chaos that draw our attention, but the quiet that follows. Empty cities stretch endlessly. Abandoned roads disappear into overgrown fields and buildings stand still, freed from their intended purpose. These images are everywhere. They appear in edits, on playlists, as wallpapers and in mood boards labeled. The world is ending, but it feels okay. Instead of fear. These images bring relief, and that should feel strange because they depict collapse. Yet they feel comforting. The quiet. I do not believe this means that we want the world to end. I think it reflects exhaustion with the world as it currently exists. Everything demands attention constantly. There is always a screen lighting up, a headline demanding fear, a reminder that we are behind or not doing enough. Even moments of rest feel conditional. Apocalyptic aesthetics imagine a world where that noise is gone entirely. There are no notifications, no updates, and no systems measuring your value. Only space exists, and time moves slowly again. Nothing wants you. In these empty city images, nothing wants anything from you. No one is trying to sell you something, measure your worth, or push you to be better. You do not need to justify your existence. You do not need to explain why you are there. You can simply exist. That kind of silence feels surreal in a world that constantly demands attention and performance. It is exactly why it feels comforting. Ruins. There is a strange honesty in ruins. A ruined building does not pretend to function. It does not promise a future it cannot deliver, and it does not hide its damage behind a clean facade. It is broken, and it accepts that. In a world where everything is constantly patched, rebranded, and maintained to appear whole, this kind of honesty is rare. Apocalyptic aesthetics remove illusions. They show failure without apology, and that kind of truth can feel peaceful in a chaotic world. Simplicity. In stories about the apocalypse, life becomes smaller and more focused. People do not need to figure out their ultimate purpose or plan decades ahead. They do not need to optimize themselves or prove their worth. They wake up, find food, protect the people around them, and survive. That is enough. When everything is already broken, humans are allowed to be unfinished too. That sense of permission can feel deeply comforting in a world where nothing ever seems sufficient. Capitalism disappears. One of the first things to disappear in apocalyptic worlds is money. Stores become empty. Billboards fade and brands lose all significance. Productivity no longer measures value. Existence becomes enough on its own. Apocalyptic aesthetics allow us to imagine a life that is not defined by output or consumption. In a culture where slowing down feels like failure, this fantasy can feel liberating. Anxiety made visible. Modern anxiety is shapeless. It is climate anxiety, economic anxiety, political anxiety, and technological anxiety, all blended together. It exists everywhere at once and nowhere at all. Apocalyptic aesthetics give this fear a form. Flooded cities, burned forests, and empty streets create images that contain anxiety. Once fear has a shape, it becomes manageable. You can look at it rather than carry it silently inside yourself. Small connections. Despite appearances, apocalyptic stories are rarely about being alone. They are about small groups, chosen families, and relationships that carry weight. In these worlds, presence matters and absence hurts. In a hyper-connected society, where relationships are often shallow and disposable, this kind of connection feels rare. We are drawn to the apocalypse because it imagines a world where closeness is necessary again. Slow time. Time moves differently in apocalyptic aesthetics. There are no trends to follow, no constant reinvention, and no pressure to keep up with the world. Objects last longer. Days feel heavier and moments stretch. Life is not easier, but it is slower. That slowness feels like a kind of relief that is hard to find elsewhere. Ending. I do not believe we crave the apocalypse itself. I believe that we crave quiet, honesty, and a life that feels human again. The end of the world is simply the clearest image we have for that feeling. When silence feels safer than noise and ruins feel more peaceful than active cities. It is not a desire for destruction, It is a reflection of how exhausting the present has become. We look at the end of everything because it shows us, clearly, what we have been missing.